Hi, Otoniel. Thanks a lot for taking this call, and many congratulations on passing your FE Electrical and Computer exam in the first attempt. So, first of all, how does it feel passing the exam after having, I don't know, like several months of effort, right? Went into it. So
Yeah.
I can tell you'll definitely look very fresh
Yeah.
and less
Yeah.
stressed, less stressed.
Yeah. No. Well, first of all, thanks. Thanks. Appreciate that. I felt amazing. It was 2 months of very hard work. Very like just doing the time,
Yeah.
putting in the time to
Was it
study.
just 2 months? It seemed longer than 2 months, to be
It was
honest.
it was just 2 months. I started, if I'm not mistaken, I started the course on December 27th, I think,
Okay.
if
All
I'm
right.
not mistaken. So I think it was exactly 2 months.
Okay.
Because the exam was on February 26th.
Okay. All
So
right.
so yeah, it was 2 months. I knew since our first call that I had a limited time. Like they usually, like in average, you take a little bit more time to study for it.
Yeah, three to
Uh,
4 months, generally speaking. You're also working full time as well, right?
uh,
So, yeah,
so yeah, but it was great. For example, in the first call, having you kind of go over the process of studying, like, well, what I had to do for like the first. I think the plan that we set up was like, all right, for January you have to finish
entire course.
the
Yeah,
entire course, right? You have to
yeah,
finish the entire course. Then there's going to be 2 weeks of um, going over the things that you think would be more helpful, or like the things you struggle the most with, and then the practice exams for like
yes,
the next week and week and a half or something like that.
exactly.
So I love that. Like that was great for me because it was like, all right, I now have a plan. It is what it's gonna be a lot of work, but this is what I have to do. And if I
Yeah,
do this, it's gonna be over in 2 months. so
exactly.
so yeah, when I was saying that, it was great. Like just having all this preparation coming to like this specific time and day,
Yeah,
and just like those 6 hours. I thought I was gonna feel a little a lot more nervous, but I feel like the preparation from the course was so great. Like from the course and from, I guess, the calls with you, like everything, right? Because we had like what, 2 to 3 calls, maybe four, maybe more.
I think at least three calls. So
Oh, just three
one
calls.
one call I always do with students when they enroll into the course. So that's the first one that you're referencing when you told me that okay, 2 months. I tell every student of mine, you tell me how much effort you're gonna put in, and I'll give you a plan for that. Okay, you
Yeah.
want to get it done in 2 months, like O'Toole? I have a plan for that. So on average, you gotta be putting in like 25, 30 hours a week, 20 plus at least, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll set up some milestones. You hit those milestones, right? That is on you. And then hopefully we'll get that done. You're working with a 1 month schedule. I recently did an interview with one of my students, Justin, and he was like, Wasim, I want to get this done in 1 month. And the guy was putting in like 30, 35 hours a week. Okay. And he
Damn.
got it done in he got it done in 1 month, right? On average, the more realistic one, I would say, that is about 3 to 4 to 5
Yeah.
and sometimes 6 months, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do one call right away when you enroll into the course, right? And then when you complete the computer science practice exam, I do another call to review that. Now, if you also have uh, the computer science practice exam number two, we do another call after that. So I think we did three calls roughly, and I could clearly see the progress, the level of efforts. And you sent me a few emails along the way for clarifications from questions from the study guide and from the course and the quizzes and this and that. So yeah, it was a lot of correspondence, but yeah, you stayed on track. Credit goes to you that you set out a goal and then you're willing to put in the time and effort that it would take you to get that done, right? So let me ask you this question: why 2 months? I don't think I ever asked you this question. Why you wanted to do it in just 2 months, and why not give yourself a little bit more time?
Yeah, no, I think there was I guess I didn't do my research correctly on how long should I have studied. So what happened
Okay.
is I plan on taking the FE on. I registered for like the
Double ES, yeah.
NCAA
Mhm.
on I think it was March of
Okay.
2020, right? No, wait, March of 2021. Sorry.
Okay, last year.
I registered on that, and because I was planning on taking it on, within that year, right? And when I was talking to, like, because I know you can schedule like within a year, right? So when I was talking to people who already took it, they were like, "Oh yeah, it's not as bad. It's not as bad." I took like a couple of weeks to study or whatnot,
Hmm.
and I was like, all right, that sounds cool, right? So I kind of like uh, procrastinate a lot
Okay,
during that year. I was like, all right, it seems fairly easy,
2 weeks
whatever.
is nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 2 weeks is nothing, right? And now that I know how much effort you have to put into it, it's like, dude, come on, you didn't just study 2 weeks. That's a lot.
They were messing around with you.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's
Either
not possible. Like,
either
that's
that,
not possible at all. Not even if
either
like you're super crazy smart, like it's not realistic.
it's
So
not realistic. I agree. I don't know. I've seen that those type of comments on places like Reddit, and I've seen like I know legitimately some of my students who've done it in 3 weeks, and then students who've done it within a month, and then I know what they had to go through. They actually ended up putting their entire life on hold.
yeah,
Okay, took time off work if they were working, and then were putting in 12 hours a week. But if somebody casually says that, this exam can be done within 2 weeks and you just have to do this and that, no, they're just messing
yeah, no,
around with you.
I think that they kind of like it was so long ago maybe that they took it that they were like, oh yeah, I think I remember that, and it was easy, but they don't
Okay,
remember like the actual months of effort that they had to put in. I think
maybe
that's the reason, right? But
that's
yeah,
amnesia.
so
That is
yeah,
amnesia.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because so I kind of like, like let it pass, and when it was, I think, November, I was like, oh, I need to schedule. So I scheduled for February, thinking that just to have like a safe zone. I begin studying like at the beginning of November to see how it is, what I have to do, to give me like kind of like a cushion, right? Like a safe
Yeah,
cushion. But when I got to December and I was actually getting into, okay, this is exam, I realized that, oh my God, no, I'm not gonna be able to do this on my own. Like, this is far more intense than I was expecting it to
right,
be. So that's when I found your course, right? I was looking for courses because I was planning on doing it on my own,
right.
right? So the thing, why only, you ask, why only 2 months? Because I didn't have more time, basically.
Okay, you already
That's
had the
that's
exam
that's the
scheduled.
answer. I
Yeah,
would I would have preferred to do it in a three. Now that I have a little bit of
yeah.
like, in retrospective, I would rather have studied three than two, because those 2 months were very intense.
Yeah, but another thing that I guess that viewers should understand is having that hard deadline helps you because technically gave yourself 3 months, right? Starting from November, and the procrastination kicked in, and then you probably, really didn't get into the groove until end of December,
Mhm.
right? So if you are working with that deadline, then it will help anchor your schedule and give you a very clear target to work towards, right? If you leave
Yeah.
it floating, a lot of students, they say, Wasim, tell me when should I book the exam? Uh, if you're really serious, you would have booked the exam already, like you did. So
Yeah.
you booked the exam and then you sign up for the course, right? And you
Mhm.
worked with a specific timeline. I realize that, I mean, for personal reasons, professional reasons, you would want to keep it floating in case there are things happening in your life, right? If you know that there's a huge project coming up, or you're going to be away or field on the field, or doing some startup or commissioning, or you have like somebody's wedding to attend or something like that, and you're not sure about the dates. I mean, that's fine, but at
Mhm.
least have a very, you know, almost precise date in mind, if not registered already, because that will
Mhm.
help direct your anxiety, nervousness, and excitement, everything, all the emotions that you're going to go through, they're going to be directed towards that particular date, right? So I
Yeah.
think that was amazing. So the credit goes to you, Otoniel, that I remember that when you took the first computer simulator practice exam, your score was not that great, right? And you did
Yeah.
look a little bit nervous, but then
Mhm.
you were like, Wasim, what do I need to do now in order to basically improve upon these things? and we actually went through, your analysis, and then I gave you some action items, some additional lectures that you had to review or revisit again, problem sets that you had to do, and I clearly saw the improvement and your confidence. And then to the point that you're mentioning that the actual exam felt easier than the content that you
Yeah,
prepared
that
for.
was that was actually great because when I did the two simulated exams, right? I didn't have a chance to do the actual practice test given from like NCWS.
NCES, yeah.
Um, but when I did it, like I didn't do the test like as a test, but I did the kind of like the questions, right? Like I did the problems, and since then I could tell that the cores were a little bit more how can I say, like more technical, like it was a little bit more difficult in a sense. So
Okay.
when I got to the exam, I felt even more confident because I knew
Okay.
that the problems in the exam were gonna. I don't know if easier is a correct like term, but there were, yeah, I guess easier to solve. It was just like when I was doing them, it was like
You were
some of
more
the
comfortable.
questions. Yeah, more comfortable. I felt more comfortable, definitely
Right.
doing
Yeah,
doing
and
it. And
that's
it
a good
was like,
place to be. That's a good place to be on the exam, right? If you're more comfortable, then you're able to really put your best foot forward. If you're in a constant
exactly.
state of nervousness, right, either self-doubting your preparation or thinking about, what's coming next, I mean, you won't be able to put your best foot forward. How did you
Yeah.
do with time on the exam
I'm
in terms of
sorry.
time? In terms of time management, how did you manage your time?
It was great. One thing that I want to mention though, I don't know if this is in every test location or in every these exams, you have to choose when to take your break, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean,
So you
that's
have to
true.
choose when you take your break, and that was weird for me because I was expecting for the time to end, if that makes sense. So I
Okay.
kind of mismanaged a little bit that because
Okay.
I think I went over the amount of like, yeah. So what I want to say is that I for the first part of the test, I was expecting it for the break to come. So I
Okay.
have like this, I don't know, like 15 minutes left until the break, so I can go back to like the
Right.
questions that,
Okay.
right. So I didn't know it was like kind of like mismanaged break, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You
So
have to stop the exam and submit the first half in order to take the break, and you can take it whenever you can. So
exactly, yeah. So that was something that was weird because it didn't. I wasn't
it's
expecting
actually in
that.
the rules. And I'm surprised that we didn't talk about it when we were going through. Maybe I should add it as part of my welcome
Mhm.
lecture in the course. I thought I had it, but anyways, it's written on the rules as well on the exam day. But anyways, so how did you recover that lost time? How much time do you think you ended up losing? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, five
No,
minutes?
I don't think I lost time. What I wanted to say is that that happened, but I was in a good position for that to happen. So I
Okay.
was like, you already went over like some of the. I was just waiting for the break, if that makes
Okay.
sense. I was like, all right, when is this gonna happen?
So how did you
So
figure out?
I didn't end up losing like a lot of time. I was actually pretty good on time. And on the second half, I even had like time spare to just go over all the questions like very calmly. It was nice. It was nice. It was definitely
That's good.
my time management improved a lot from the first simulator test to the second simulator test. Like
Yeah,
a
I
ton.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
So
got better at using the calculator as well.
yeah, no, that was one thing. And the other thing is that the mistakes that I now see that I made, I didn't use the PDF version of the handbook
Yeah, I realized
until,
that. Yes.
yeah, until not even for the, I think I didn't use it for the second simulated test. Like I
Yeah.
just used it for like the last week of practice.
Yes. Yes. You were using the printed version, and on the exam, I told you, I think it was just, yeah, the last week, I
Yeah.
told you that, man, they will have the handbook in an electronic version on the screen. So you
Yeah.
better get used to that. But yeah, your preparation was so sound that you overcame that. But again, another thing that I like to, or maybe if you can mention that, is there were a lot of areas before you started this exam preparation that were not your strength, right? Some
Yeah.
of the more typical ones, like computer sections, right?
Yeah.
You definitely are not a computer guy, right?
Yeah.
With background in networks. Did you even take any of those courses in undergraduate,
I
software
did.
networks?
I took one course on like for freshman, my first semester we had the intro to electrical and intro to computer. engineering,
Okay.
right? So there was this intro class that was basically nothing.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember anything about that. My focus was on energy systems. So like after my sophomore year, everything that had to do with like computer networks, computer systems, communications, all that, it was like I'm not
Yeah.
doing that.
So
So
you're not only handicapped on the computer sections, which is computer network software, computer systems, digital systems, but you are also potentially handicapped on control systems, communications, signal processing, and all of that stuff, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had a lot of areas, and that was something that I don't know how to feel about that with the FE, but there's a lot of topics that I feel like I haven't used. I guess I haven't
You will never use a lot of those topics.
exactly. So it was like, but you know, like the course was great for that. For the uh, digital systems was great. I learned a lot of digital systems. It was something that became my strength.
Strength. Yeah, I
You know,
remember
like
you scoring
digital
really
systems
well.
was like on point for me. And then the control systems, that was great. I actually love the control systems section of the course because I now use it a lot on my
Okay,
work actually.
good.
So that was pretty cool. You know, like refreshing those things that I did took control courses on university, right? But now when I'm working, I do actually use a lot of control systems, like a lot of block diagrams, a lot of the I work with
Nice.
PSC, so a lot of the PSC models are modeled with like this
Right.
block diagrams that show gains and the different flow and everything. So it kind of like refreshed me, and now that I'm doing my work, like my actual like job, it's like actually okay. Yeah, I remember that I can do this and do that,
Yeah.
or have a better understanding. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the whole point. If you can see the application, you are more motivated to learn it because you know that this whole entire effort is not going to go to waste, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it will not go to waste because it translates itself into the EIT license, and which is, the prerequisite in order to, not the EIT license, but the passing the FE exam is prerequisite to the PE
Yeah.
exam. So that's great.
Mhm.
Uh, any advice for students who are planning to get this exam done? Now, I don't think we discussed. So you've been out of school for 2 years, right, Otoniel, roughly
Two and a half,
two and a
almost.
half years, and you work for a utility, right?
I work. Yeah, it's an energy systems consulting firm. So we work
Okay,
with everything that has to do with electricity in the terms of generation, distribution, and transmission.
okay.
So
So
it's
you
a
do
lot
get
of
yeah. So you do get exposed to the technical side of things. So there's clear value in you pursuing your PE license and going all the way and getting it done. What
course.
would be your advice to students or candidates who are thinking about taking the FE exam but are not too sure? What would you recommend them?
They
FE
think, but
electrical.
they're not too sure. Okay. I would say in my case, it's something like, for example, if you have the time to do it for the FE especially, I would say, and you're thinking about it, just try and go ahead and do it because it's something that it's gonna be beneficial for you in many ways, right? But I would say try to what I did was try to kind of like ask, for example, my supervisors or like people in the field, like how would a PE license, if a PE license would be beneficial for me, like what would that look like in terms of me going forward in my career, in my like professional uh, life. So that was one thing I would definitely recommend anyone who's thinking about doing it, just to see how the license itself is going to translate in terms of like in the company that you're working for, if you want to still be there, if you're looking for another job and you want to have that for kind of leverage, if that makes sense. um
And
so yeah,
your supervisor you mentioned is very happy. Your entire team is very happy with you getting
my
your
yeah my
FE
entire team
license.
is very happy, and especially in consulting, I think it's something that it's very well recognized, having
For
this P
sure.
license. I see a lot of my colleagues that have the P license. The thing with what I've been seeing about it is that what I've been noticing about it is that people kind of like take your word, take your
More
advice
seriously.
more seriously. Yeah, exactly. So it's great, because you're giving advice to these companies, these generation companies
Mhm.
about regulations, about reliability standards and stuff. And I can say the same thing as my supervisor, but if my supervisor has a P license, everybody's gonna look towards him to be like, all right,
For
yeah,
sure.
you're right, if that makes sense. So yeah, so in what I would say is definitely go ahead and do your research, and do your research and give you time to do your research. Don't just procrastinate
Yeah.
and do it just like I did. But see how that would be beneficial for you. Like there's always an increase in salary, you know, like all these things, but it is also something that you have to see where it's been going to be beneficial for you in terms of your
Long-term plan.
professional, you
Yes.
know, like what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Do you want to be more recognized? Do you want to have this seal to, you know, for projects? What is it exactly that you want to do? So yeah, my advice would be find what you want to do with it, I
And
guess.
your future self is going to thank you, because it always becomes more and more difficult with every passing year to pass these exams. So if you see yourself working as a technical engineer, I always recommend my students and people who ask me questions that go for it.
Yeah.
It may not result in immediate opportunities, but it's better to have it than not to have it.
Yeah,
And the only
definitely.
thing, yeah, it's basically your effort, time, and the investment that you're making, and it should pay you dividends. So I look forward to helping you with your P Power exam preparation as well, Otoniel, in my P Power course, and we'll get your licensing journey completed, and hopefully with the P Power as well in the first attempt. So thanks a lot for your time, and once again, many congratulations on passing this exam in the first attempt with a 2-month time frame, which again, I don't think that you would advise others, or even I wouldn't advise. If you have the luxury of time, as you mentioned a couple of times during this call, go for 3 or 3 to 4 months, right? That's more realistic. But if you
Definitely.
have your own reasons to get this done within 2 months, I can help you with a milestone, a structure, a schedule for 2 months, even for 1 month. But yeah, once again, so relish this success, and I look forward to helping you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wasim. No, it was great help, and I just can be thankful enough for having like this course. And you, like the course was great, the course was magnificent, but you for like advice for like because it wasn't just only, you know, it wasn't just only, oh yeah, do this, the milestones and everything, that was great, but it's also like, oh, when you get there, you know, you have to bring your sneaker bar to the break. Try to keep yourself, you know, like all this that you don't know
Yeah.
what exactly you're going into.
I should get some sponsorship from Snickers, because every student of mine who doesn't have a peanut allergy, I recommend them, that bring a Snicker bar. Okay, if you have peanut
Oh yeah.
allergies, then by all means, stay away
Yeah,
from that stuff.
definitely.
It's
Try
my
try and
favorite.
get that. Try and
It's
get that, man. Yeah. I
it's
mean, I brought my Snickers, that's for sure. All
it's my favorite chocolate. All right, thanks for your kind words of appreciation, Thank you.
right. Thank you, Wasim.